What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Yield Today with Dallin, Candland. This is episode number 61. We're going to be talking about three things that you can take out of any struggle that you go through, because we've all had these different struggles with the pandemic and the coronavirus. It's all affected us in different ways, whether or not we've been affected by it ourselves, and definitely feeling for those who have gone through that. And I hope you'll take these three things with you for the rest of your life, because they're super powerful. And these are things that I've tried to do every single time I go through something, even if it's something really small. I try to always take these three things into consideration. This is another one of those quick 6-minute episodes where I just give you the value. You get the message, and then you skedaddle, and you go change the world, you go do things, because yeah, you're not supposed to just listen to me all day long, although that is flattering. You need to go out and do things and change the world, because that's what you're here to do. There's that one... There's the quote, let the world, change the world with your smile, but don't let your... change the world with your smile, but don't let the world... let the world... change your smile... There's change the world with your smile, but don't let the world change your smile, or something. Change your world with the smile. Anyway, great things are on the way for sure. But here are my three quick things that you can take with you. Number one is a story. I feel like when we go through different things, it's really easy to think of the very negative aspects of them. And I think it's important to have those things in mind if we want to tell the story. But it's also really valuable to be able to tell the story with a funny context, with build up, and with a lesson learned. So I try to do those three things whenever I get back from my antics. It's a good way to explain them at the end of the day. And I'm like, hey, this happened, and I took a random nap, or I was just walking around, and whatever happened, I'll share it, and I'll share it in a funny way. And I'll share but I learned this, and I figured this out, and it's super valuable. Instead of saying oh, I'm so dumb, and blah, blah, blah. That's really not true. You're calling yourself dumb. Really. There probably isn't that much evidence for that. And if there is, you can always switch it around. I don't know, that could be a whole other episode. But trust me, you're not dumb. I thought that forever. Such a long time. I was I'm just too dumb for school. And a lot of times, if you just apply yourself and keep learning, you can do pretty much anything, especially in the world we live in today. There really are no limits. So have a story, plan it out. Even the worst story, I was thinking about this last night, or the most pessimistic story, you could always tell it in a more optimistic light. Think of telling a story in the light instead of in the dark. You could always turn the light on. Number two is resolve. That is something you are going to do differently because of what you experienced. I think this is one of the biggest problems in the world today, is people will go through something and they will have this feeling, and then when 10 years later they run into somebody who's going through the same thing, and they don't have compassion on them because they forgot they went through that thing, or they didn't learn that lesson super well themselves. This is kind of me just being super preachy and getting on a soapbox, but I think it's just super valuable. If you learn from your experience and you touch the stove and you're okay, well, I'm going to learn from this. I'm not going to touch the stove ever again. If you're a business person, you made a bad business decision. Guess what? It doesn't define you at all. You can learn from it, and you can make way better business decisions in the future. But it takes that resolve. You got to choose to do it, commit, as Dennis Morrow would say, who was on the podcast a while ago. Hope he's doing well. But yeah, just having that real reason. We're all gonna make mistakes. We're not all gonna learn from them. That's just what sets us apart, honestly. It's who's learning from their mistakes, who's not learning from their mistakes, who is choosing to learn from these things. And it really does add up a ton over time. If you can turn all those mistakes into those moments of increased clarity and learning and moving forward and taking that resolve, is super powerful. Last thing, perspective. whenever you go through something difficult, it is very priceless for your overall thinking, because when you're going through that thing, you're seeing the world in a different way. And then when that thing is over, or at least dormant, you go back to seeing the world how you previously saw it. When I get plasma, when I donate plasma, I'm thinking of the world through the lens of somebody who just donated plasma. I mean, I'm still Dallin, Candland, but I just donated plasma. And it just kind of goes along with all these things. So take the best from all those perspectives you get. You may have been wronged, you may have been treated poorly, but you can still learn from all those perspectives you had, all those feelings. The Rock is a good example of that. He remembers all those difficult times he had, and they help him move forward. And you can do that. You can also choose to soak up as much as you can as you're going through a struggle. And from my experience, taking all of that experience is so valuable, because, and not one more fast thing, if you've overcome something once, you know it is solvable. Your brain no longer has to think that is not possible, that is difficult, or, it can still be difficult, but it's like, that is something that is going to be too hard for me to do. Like for me doing a podcast, that's probably really hard in the beginning, possibly. Not really, kind of, because I practiced a lot with YouTube videos and stuff. But getting around along the way, like now, making 2 episodes in a week isn't on a consistent basis. Over time, just like as you keep having good experiences, good and bad, you will get perspective. When you apply that perspective, so you can reach a little bit farther, like with a microscope or like with binoculars. If you use your perspective to look a little bit closer at things, you'll be able to reach so much greater learning quicker, and just be able to learn a lot more. And it'll make that difficult time into more of a blessing. And the fast little scripture at the end, Romans 8:28, and we know that all things will work together for good to them that love God. And that's really been helping me out lately. It's like, yes, you've made these mistakes, but God's going to make them all work out all the way. And that is definitely my faith, and that's definitely what I've seen. So with that all said, thank you so much for listening. Hope this was helpful for you in some way. Just remember, when you're going through something difficult, don't forget to take the story, the resolve, and the perspective with you to bless others' lives. And I hope you'll do that. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow the podcast for more episodes. And I appreciate it. You guys are great. Take care. And don't forget to yield today, and it'll be a better tomorrow.